Hey guys, it's Candace the Edgy Veg, and today I thought we would do another testing TikTok recipes. Now I've done veganizing TikTok recipes. I think I've done a testing TikTok recipes, but there's a couple that caught my eye in the last month or so, and I'm gonna test them out. So if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. You know, if you like these videos where I test them out, TikTok recipes, where I test TikTok recipes out, you can give it a thumbs up. And it's not too late to pick up the Edgy Veg and HERBALAND Vegan Essentials bundle. So I worked together in partnership with HERBALAND to come out with a Vegan Essentials box that has all of the vitamins that you need as a vegan. There's 3 bottles, definitely check them out. There's gonna be a link in my description box down below. So everybody's obsessed with TikTok, at least everyone I know is obsessed with TikTok. And I feel like recipes on TikTok are different. There's a different level of virality to them. And these ones kept showing up over and over and over again in my feed. So I'm gonna test them out. I'm gonna test out a crinkle recipe. We're gonna do a cheese straw, savory crinkle. We're going to do a potato pillow bites. Potato pillows? Potato pillows, yeah, that's what we'll call them. And then we're also going to test out Gigi Hadid's rosé pasta. All right, let's cook. So the first recipe is by Ramina Said Wow. So her business, I guess, is making this thing called a crinkle using phyllo pastry, but she had a video where she just kind of did a savory cheese straw version. I couldn't find the recipe written down anywhere, so I kind of watched the video 100 times and just wrote down how I think it goes. So I'm going to veganize it, and hopefully I do it right. All right, so essentially what Ramina said is to take 2 pieces of phyllo, kind of crinkle it with your hands, kind of accordion style, and do that for an entire tray and bake it for 10 minutes, and then cover it in butter, and then cover it in a custard, and then cover it in cheese. Okay, so she kind of does it crinkling with her hands. So I'm just gonna just hanging it. Yeah, perfect. I'm gonna do this. So fold it forward. This looks a lot easier when you see her do it, but we're gonna do this until there's enough for the entire pan. So something like that. Do it the other way so it lays flat, if you say so. That's the way that she does it on her Instagram is so fast. I wonder if I just folded it on the counter. I mean, it doesn't look as cool, but it gets the job done. So, I mean, ideally, I'd have 3 or 4 more, but what I'm gonna do is just kind of spread them out. I think some of them are probably tightly wound, tightly folded. Not tightly wound. What am I talking about? I mean, that's crinkled, right? Yeah, something like that. All right, it's going into the oven for 10 minutes. All right, so for the custard, she uses 4 eggs, a milk, and then a bunch of spices and nutritional yeast. So I just use egg. I figured that was probably the closest. Soy milk, and then thyme, rosemary, some mushroom powder, mushroom seasoning, so you get that umami, onion powder, garlic powder, and the nutritional yeast. Whisk it until it's combined, and then check on your phyllo. Oh, and melt your butter, which I've already done. You want 2 sticks of melted vegan butter, which is how much is a stick of butter? Half a cup. So a cup of butter, a full cup of butter. All right, take your melted butter and then pour it evenly over the entire thing. Oh, that was just in the oven. Why do I do that? Yeah, I think I picked it up and dropped it really, really fast. So, because I don't really even feel it. Or my fingers just no longer feel burns. So I think that's more or less even. Now what do I do? What did she do? Throw it back in the oven? We're gonna cook it for another 10 minutes. I think because my oven is convection, it's cooking a little bit faster. So I'm gonna do like 7 minutes. So now I'm evenly pouring. Yeah, I guess that's kind of a sentence. I'm evenly pouring. I'm pouring this evenly across the whole thing again. And then we'll grab the cheese and put that on top. I don't know how much cheese, but it was quite a bit, so I just used a whole bag. I have a second bag if we need to. I mean, there's definitely a lot more custard than there was butter, that's for sure. Okay, custard's in. Butter. No, not butter, cheese. She actually stuck some pepperonis in the folds. I didn't do that because the pepperoni that I like is hard to get a hold of. And right now, you know, the grocery stores are already bare as it is. Plus I think this is plenty. Okay, that's a lot of cheese. That might be too much cheese. I feel like my pan is too small. There's like custard on the side. I might be making a completely different dish. Throw it back into the oven for 30 minutes. All right, so the second recipe we're going to do is Gigi Hadid's pasta. It's like a rosé pasta. Pretty basic, but looks really tasty. Ingredients. Step 1, penne. All right, so I've got my pasta boiling, and then I'm heating up some olive oil in a pan. I'm adding garlic and cooking it for like a minute until it's fragrant. All right, now she throws in 2/3 of a cup of tomato paste. And then she cooks that for a couple minutes until it turns like a brownish color. It says about 4 minutes, so that's what we're gonna do. It looks like quite a lot of tomato paste, but we're also adding quite a lot of cream. So don't be alarmed yet. Don't be alarmed quite yet. I'll let you know when we can panic. Reserving some of the pasta water. So I like to just do it like this. I'm gonna reserve this much because it's just easier to have more than not have enough. And then I'm gonna drain this. Really like red brown, but it definitely deepened in color. And it's been longer than 4 minutes, so I'm just gonna go for it. We are going to add in some chili flakes and some dried basil. And then whatever your choice of vegan heavy cream is, you can add that in. I'm just using the Silk half and half, but you can also, like usually when I make a rosé pasta, I just use like cashew cream because I always have cashews on hand. I don't always have this on hand, but I do have this on hand, so I'm gonna make less work for myself. Okay, so now, what am I doing? Simmering for 3 minutes, adding in cheese. I'm using just a vegan parm. And then we're adding butter. I will say, okay, so she has half a cup of olive oil, then she has the heavy cream, and then she has vegan butter at the end. I think that the vegan butter, like that's a lot of fat, and I'm not like, I don't really care, but I just don't know why you have the butter at the end, especially since it's unsalted. If it was salted butter, that'd be different. I could kind of understand that. Plus you have cheese, which is also salty. It just seems like a lot of, I don't know, excess fat, if you will. Especially since when you add the pasta water, you get a lot of like creaminess. You get a really rich, creamy, from the starch, you get a really rich, creamy mouthfeel. So I don't know, it's not my recipe. So just adding in the cheese. Again, you can probably just use whatever vegan cheese you normally love in your pasta. Mozzarella, some parm like I did, and then the vegan butter, unsalted vegan butter. This is just like the Basil like butter sticks. I love that they make that now actually. Makes baking super, super easy. And then a half a cup of that reserved cooking liquid. What does the pasta queen call it? Tears of the gods. I like her a lot. Every time we film now, in my head, when we have to do the ingredient shots, I always in my head, I'm like, ingredients, like she does. Then I can't steal her bit, you know? All right, so we're bringing it to a simmer. Then we are going to season to taste with salt and pepper, and then we're throwing the pasta in. Coat the pasta, add more pasta water as needed. That's really gonna kind of depend on personal preference, I think. I also like to cook my pasta quite al dente so that I can cook it in the liquid as well. So I'm probably, she doesn't do this, but I'm going to kind of cook it in the liquid for a little bit. All right, pasta. Ooh. I don't think we will need more pasta water. There's quite a bit of sauce in here. Taste for salt and pepper. Maybe a little bit of pepper. It does seem salty enough. All right, I'm gonna bring that to a simmer and then it's done. It's quite spicy, although that is the name of it. It's good though. I like it. I feel like that's probably enough. I don't know what to expect. That's 30 minutes though. I feel like that's enough. Oh my God, it's so heavy. I mean, it looks incredible. So good. Everything is done at the same time. We're cooking all 3 recipes like at the same time right now, and there's a lot going on. I know sometimes you guys like to comment on how messy the kitchen is. There's a lot that goes into the production of this, okay? It's not always this messy, unless it's a shoot day, or I'm recipe testing, or writing a cookbook. So a good amount of the time, it's very messy. That's done, we can plate that. For the 3rd recipe, I actually boiled the potatoes, and I think they're also done. Actually, no, they're not done. All look really good. This looks really good. I mean, it's melted cheese on top. What's not to like? So I'm just gonna cut in and see what happens. I saw her eating it like in squares. I feel like we're gonna have a trying to get lasagna out of the pan situation here. What I do worry about is that the just egg might make it like too eggy as opposed to like a custard. I've never tried just egg for a custard, but most things with just egg that I don't know, like tried to replicate or whatever, it's usually pretty good, like a solid dupe. It works out well. So I guess we'll find out. All right, I don't know where my cut was. Oh, here. Did she grease her pan? I did not. Well, all right, let's see. Going well so far. I think it might be stuck to the bottom. That is a really great way to dull my knife. Come on, come out. I want to eat you. Oh, here we go. It's always the first one that's difficult. Okay, so I let it sit. It's been sitting for like 10 minutes. Ooh, crispies. Here, we might as well just do a taste test right away, right? It's not like crispy, really, but I think that might be user error because I just kind of like eyeballed everything based on like her video. So it's not very crispy, but I love a cheese pastry. So let's see. I mean, it's effing delicious. If there was a way to get more custard, if I was to do this again, I would really try to get custard in between like each fold. It's really good. Not crispy, except for the outsides, but I think that was just me getting the recipe wrong. So good. I'm gonna work on perfecting this recipe, and I'll put it in the description box down below, as I always do. That's really good. I didn't add any salt to this except for salting the water for the pasta. It's spicy, but not the type of spicy that like lingers forever. It kind of dissipates really quickly. It's creamy, it's a little bit sweet from the tomato paste like caramelizing in the pan. I would make this again, for sure. It's really good. like really good. I probably would leave out the butter at the end, but I would definitely make this again. Well done. All right, we're down to the third recipe now. All right, we're on the third recipe now. These are the potato pillows. They are from Miss She and Mr. He on TikTok. I love those videos. They're so cute. They make just wonderful food videos. They're very wholesome and I love them. They're just like great and like innovative and interesting. So I thought I would make them potato pillows. You know what it's kind of like? It's kind of like a potato pancake, but small, hopefully. Earlier, I boiled the potatoes and then I threw it into cold water. She throws it into ice cold water. I'm allergic to cold, so I didn't do that. So I just did it cold water to stop it from cooking, and then I peeled it really quickly. Now, we are going to use our ricer, or the Spätzle machine, to rice our potatoes and make just the fluffiest, creamiest, most mashed potatoes ever. If you don't have one of these, you have to get one. My mom uses this to make German noodles, and I remember being a kid and always asking for German noodles. She'd be like, oh, it's so much work. And I'm like, it's just like a couple ingredients. But for her, the work was pushing it through this machine. I mean, I guess it's not a machine, appliance, a device, a tool. She called it a machine. But this is my favorite way to make mashed potatoes. I have a potato masher, I don't use it. I maybe use my potato masher to like beat things, like if I have to crush some candy canes or something. All right, then she says to add 2 tablespoons of glutinous rice flour, and the other one is potato starch, I think? Potato starch? Cornstarch? Cornstarch or potato starch. 3 tablespoons in total, which seems not enough to make a dough. I mean, she made it, so I'm gonna trust her. Salt and pepper. The system makes it all together, but it just, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe because they're so fluffy, they're deceiving. Actually, yeah, they're not as tall as, there's not as much as it looked like there was when they were all fluffy. All right, so we're gonna mix this all together. Then once it starts to come together, we are going to knead it until it becomes a dough. I mean, hers look like a pretty tight little dough ball. Mine isn't quite looking like that, not yet anyway. I mean, she said 2 large potatoes and I used 3 because 2 of them were smaller. Maybe you have to add a little bit more. I mean, is this kind of what it looked like? Maybe. I'm gonna keep going. I mean, I don't know that I would call it a dough because it doesn't quite act like a dough, but it's definitely a big starchy ball of potatoes, which I love. All right, what's next? Separate the dough into 2 portions. That I can do. Here we go. And then we are going to roll it into a log and cut into pillow shapes, kind of like gnocchi. That's what it looked like. I don't think she gives like a measurement for how big they should be. So I'm not quite sure if I'm making them too big or too thin. Starting to break, so maybe that. All right, now we're going to cut them into little pillows. I'm gonna wash my hands first though. All right, so based on the video, I think it's something like this. I think. I might just use this as my guide. I mean, they definitely look like little pillows. Oh my God, I have the cutest recipe that I saw on Instagram that I wanna do. Maybe Easter. I need like a holiday of some sort, I think. Or I could just do it for no reason. They're like little bears sleeping in a puff pastry bed with little marshmallow pillows. And I'm going to do that. I think bears aren't really Easter, but that's okay, right? Look at that. The perfect size. So she is double frying these. So she says fry it over medium for like 4 minutes and then fry it on high for like 2 minutes. So I don't know what medium means. So I'm gonna go with like 250. Well, if high is like 400, or mine only goes up to 375, so that's high. Yeah, I think 250. Anything below 250 I don't think is gonna cook very well. All right, so nothing was happening when I had it on the lower heat, so I'm just going to have it like 350. She says to cook them for 5 minutes. That seems like a lot, but let's see. I'm gonna do 3 at a time in my little guy. So I turned it up a little bit more. There was nothing happening. So this part we might be improvising a little bit. All right, that's 5 minutes for the first fry. I'm just gonna put them here and then do a few more. I think I can probably fit 4 in here this time. They didn't really stick together, so that's great. Sure. All right, we have our Miss She and Mr. He little potato pillows. They're crispy on the outside and they look super soft on the inside, but let's do a little taste test. Ketchup. Those are really good. I think the only thing I might change, they're very oily. I think I would just like cook them on high for a shorter amount of time, but they're amazing. They're so good. They're fluffy on the inside. They're really crunchy and crispy on the outside. I would probably make this again. Yeah, it's almost like a mini potato pancake. All right, 3 for 3 today. Couple changes to, well, just the cooking time on this one. I would definitely make a couple changes to the Crinkle, so I'll update that, and all of the recipes are going to be linked in the description box. So yeah, if you like these videos where I taste test popular TikTok recipes or veganized TikTok recipes, give this video a big thumbs up. If you have any recipes that you see on TikTok that you would like either veganized or tested, you can leave that in the comment section. If you're new, subscribe. If you want the recipe, it's in the description box. Oh, and don't forget to buy my vitamins. Okay, bye.